What's up, everyone? Welcome to the call today. Mitch Maeli Live. We're excited to be bringing you an awesome strategy today. So, we're going to be talking about how to calculate after repair values on fix and flip properties. And that's going to be trained by none other than the beautiful Maeli. Is going to be sharing that with us today. So, you guys are in the right place. Few announcements. We have regionals coming up next week. We are approaching Friday as the cutoff. If you want to go to regionals, which guys, we have real estate investors flying in from around the country. This is going to be one of the biggest networking events of the year. It's November 8th through the 10th. Ticket prices start at general admission at $198 a piece, or excuse me, $197 a piece. If you want to go but you're not sure how to buy tickets, just reach out to us. That's going to be held in Sandy, Utah, at the Mountain America Expo Center. Is that correct? Mountain America Expo Center.
I don't know.
Yes, yes, it's the Mountain America
Oh,
Expo Center.
I'm
Um,
like, I didn't have tickets. You did.
and great news, we have two huge events like that every single year. We have our regionals, which is next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then we have nationals, which was announced this week. So nationals is coming up. It will be March. I just drew a blank. March
21st and 22nd
21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
and
So
23rd.
you're going to want to be a part of that, guys. These are awesome events. Each one only happens once a year, once in the spring. Nationals in the spring and regionals in the fall. You're definitely going to want to be a part of them. Both of them are held in Utah. Regionals usually held in Sandy. Nationals usually held in Layton. So I get to walk there while a lot of people are flying and having to get a hotel. But okay, so training today, we're going to be going into how to calculate after repair values, and we're going to be using tools today. Some of the tools cost money, but what we really wanted to focus on is tools that you can use if you're not a real estate agent, if you don't have access to the MLS, and you're not able to like run comparables like a realtor does. How do you run comps, right? How do you find out what that after repair value is? That's what we've got on for you today. So we're Maylee's gonna be diving into that, and without further ado, Maylee, take it away.
Hey yo, what's up, people? Love it. So, couple things. I also have a couple announcements, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff. So we are going to be having a Christmas party right here at my casa. Okay, our casa. Uh, and it will be December 8th. It's that Saturday. It was verified that it's that day. I had it on my calendar, and then I pulled it away. So December 8th. So we're gonna be doing, it's Friday, December 8th, that we will be doing our Christmas party. There we'll be doing lots of fun awards, and we will be reaching out to you and letting you know if obviously you received award, different fun ways that you'll be receiving awards, and we have a couple different ways you can have awards. But I also wanted to say that if you at our Christmas party, we'll be announcing different ways for you to get a free ticket to nationals. So we'll be showing you how you can earn a free ticket that we pay for. Who doesn't like when we pay for things, right? That's always nice. So that'll be really fun. And then they'll be making some fun announcements also at regionals for our traveling. So next year, so every year we go for real estate, like from all over the nation, right? We fly somewhere really fun so we can have a tax write-off and be on vacation at the same time, which is always the best part. This last year they went to Cancun, and I think at regionals they'll be launching and releasing where we'll be going for 2024. So I'm really excited to go travel the world with you guys. I mean, we've literally been all over with real estate and like our leadership of real estate investors. So it's the who's who that goes. But we've been to London, we've been to Scotland, we've been obviously to Cancun multiple times. We've been, I know I'm leaving out places, Mitch. We've been to Panama, the real
Yeah,
Panama,
Panama. We've been to the Dominican Republic,
Dominican Republic, like all over we travel.
Dubai. Yeah,
Why? Yep. So I'm hoping this year they pick somewhere again very unique because that's fun to go somewhere that you've never been before. So hopefully that's the case. But we'll keep you posted on that. I just like to get people excited of, ooh, tax write-off and traveling somewhere super exciting and hang out with like-minded investors and learn from everyone's strengths from all over the nation is super fun. So I just wanted to make that as like, just get excited. And usually it's towards the end of August or the 1st of September. So you can kind of bank on kind of right there when we'll be doing the, traveling abroad somewhere. Super. So make sure you have your passport. I guess is the biggest thing that I'm saying here is get your passport. And I'm talking to myself because I didn't get to go this year because I didn't have my passport. I didn't know that it wasn't. I had expired and I had no idea. So I'm talking to myself when I talk to you. Oh, my bouncing is having a problem tonight. Okay, so let's dive right on in. Let's see here. So tonight we are going to be, let me share my screen, how to comp a property if you are not a real estate agent, right? Because that's probably one of the hardest things that comes up all the time for me, because they're like, oh, maybe you're a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, perfect. Yes. And if you think that I have time to comp 500 properties, the answer is I definitely don't, right? Like I have a good team. They're amazing, and definitely reach out to me if you're having troubles, and, we'll go through the different ways. But at the end of the day, it's very important to figure out how to do it yourself, just because sometimes they're like, you're waiting on something. And this is a good example, actually. One of our newest members, her name's Mary. She sent me a property this morning, or 2 days ago. She sent me a property. It just got listed. It was like, she gets notifications, right? She set it up so that she's in the know when something gets listed. And unfortunately,
Mary's on the call, actually.
Oh, hey, Mary. Hello, girl. Well, this is for you then. So I'm apologizing to you. So unfortunately, I went to look at it today. I totally missed out on it yesterday. I just, told her I'd run comps. I didn't. And then I look at it this morning. It says it's under contract. So Mary, I hope that you put it under contract if you really wanted it, because I totally did not do it in time for you. Because sometimes it's like that, right? If it's a good deal, you're going to get this locked up super fast. And you need to move on it maybe at 2 a.m. if you're excited about the property. I can tell you, absolutely, I have done that, and we'll stay up that late. But it's hard to do something like that if you don't know the numbers. Because if you're just throwing stuff at me and you're like, oh, what do you think? Or, unfortunately, there's a lot of work, and you're going to see how much work goes into comping a property, right? And deciding if this is a good deal or not. And because of that, it's an issue of just simply time management, right? And there's a lot of you. There's just a lot of you. So this will really help all of us figure out how to streamline the process, but also so that you feel really confident when you're making quick decisions and making just some magic happen for you. Okay, so I'm actually going to put stuff right here so I can feel like I'm talking to you guys. Okay, this is a really cool static visual of how the process works. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in here. So we're gonna call this the swag concept, for lack of a better word here. But the key here is sell price. Okay, this one gets a little bit complicated, but the key here is just to, I'm gonna back up actually, because I don't love how much it's showing. Okay, let me show this one. Maybe go to this one. Oh, it's downloading. 10 seconds. So as we're waiting for it to download, this one's a little more complicated than the one's about to pop up. Well, maybe not. It's not going to pop up, but we'll just keep looking at this one because it'll do a good enough job. So what I really want you to look at is, what am I going to be able to sell this property for? Okay, so that's the first thing that we've got to figure out. The next thing is, what's my profit, right? And we're going to talk about what your scenario is. What are my repair costs? What are my holding costs, right? And then my minimum offer price. We have to figure that out before we can ever send an offer, right? And before you really send it to me as your agent, or Ryan, or anybody else that are agents on the line here, that, right? Those are, and then if you're going to wholesale it, and you can totally make those decisions while you're looking at the property. Okay, these are the different types of variables though. So you can do a formula. We'll walk you through the formula. But realistically, this is all you need to know when you're first jumping into looking at a deal. This is all you need to know. Now, there's a lot more complications when it comes to this. And for all of you that are very meticulous and detail oriented and love systems and perfection and love all of those things, this is going to stress you out a little bit. So I'm just going to make some, make this very clear that in after repair value is not exact. Okay. It is not going to give you, folks, Maeli gave me, or I gave myself, right? Because I do this for our business every single day. I run a comp and I'm looking at so many different variables, and you're going to see this, right? And then from there, I'm going to say, okay, based on the knowledge in which I'm looking at, this is what I think the ARV is. And you're going to have to do the same thing, right? And having multiple people give you some advice if you're having, if you're struggling with an ARV, absolutely. It takes most of my agents about a year to feel comfortable running their own ARVs without a second opinion. It's just, it can get very right, especially when it's your own property. It's I just need another person's opinion. Please let me do that for you. But what I'm asking for is for you to have an idea first, right? Be hey, this is what I thought. This is what I see. What do you think? Okay, that means you've done everything you possibly can to tell me you still want this property. And then once you see that you want this property and you know your numbers, and we're going to go through the numbers, right? Then from there, you can be I need you to give me an actual ARV and let me know what you think about this property. It's oh, yes, absolutely. Game time. Let's go. Let's get you a second opinion, maybe a third, maybe a fourth, if it's a super complicated one, right? Or maybe it's not my expert area. And so I'll reach out to somebody that's in that area to, to give you a better expert opinion. Because there are people that know better areas than I do, especially if they're outside of this country, Utah. Absolutely, you're going to want to reach out to a better expert than me, because I'm not an expert in any other area than Utah. Never, ever will claim that. Now, can I tell you, what it could be? Maybe. But so we're going to dive right on here. But take a picture of this because, or screenshot it, whatever. This is going to help you out through the entire process. And again, this is not an exact science. I wish it was. I totally wish it was. But it's not. Let's see, let's see, Ryan, why are you guys still in the waiting room? Okay, I don't know what's going on with you guys, but okay. So again, not an exact formula. So some of you are going to be oh, this is a little outside of my comfort zone. That's okay. I just want you to let go of the perfectionism that needs to not take place today and recognize that it is a flowing process that is ever flowing. All right. And I'm going to have you download multiple different types of apps today and check out different types of products today. First off, we're just going to look at Zillow just as a blanket and understand what Zillow does and how it does it. If you were to say, hey, Zillow, I want to know, or I want to buy a house, homes for sale. Okay, I want to buy a house. And you're going to give it a specific zip code. Let's give it 84106. I'm loving this zip code right now. It's the Foothills area. It's, I don't know what happened to it. 801. Nope, 80. Is it 80? There it is. 804-106. All right. What did Zillow just do? I have no idea. Does it think that it's an what are you doing, Zillow? Go back. Come on. Let's just give you a zip code, 84016. 840-106. Okay. So it should pull up any home, right, that is for sale in that area.
There was an extra zero in there if it didn't work right.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why it's still not. 84106. Okay, there we go. Finally. All right. So this should give us everything. See how it maps out the exact zip code, right? It should give us everything that is for sale. However, if let's say we clicked on something like this one, this looks like it could probably need an update, right? It's only listed for $470,000. Pretty obvious. It looks kind of, beat up, a little run down. Obviously kind of ugly inside. We're going to look at the pictures real quick. This is just a brief, right? We're just jumping right in. Yeah, the paint's really ugly. The floor looks nice. The cabinets probably could use an update based on the area in which it's in. Again, paint, right? All over the place. And the outside of the house could be painted. But other than that, it's super cute. Like there's a ton of, value here potentially in this property. We're going to actually save this because we'll come back to this one. I like it. All of a sudden loving it. Okay. So if we choose to come back though to the listing, some things we're going to figure out. It's only a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Well, that's part of why it's so cheap, right? We're going to figure out that the lot is 6,000 square feet lot. Doesn't mean a ton to you right this second, but we'll dive into why these are all important. It's not telling us what the square footage is. Right here it does though, so 1,300 square feet. The Zestimate is saying that it's 469. How is it getting the Zestimate? This is why we wanted to bring this to attention. It is an algorithm, right? And no algorithm is going to tell you exactly what a home is going to be worth on the back end or what it's worth right this second. It just can't do that for you. It can be close, but there is no way for Zillow to tell you an after repair value. I hope this makes sense because there's no software here to do that, which is why tonight we're going to be showing you a new software that you can purchase. And you can do a 30-day free trial just to see if you like it or not, and go, okay, this is totally worth my time, or this isn't worth my time. But it is a ton of value that it's going to provide for you. I went and dove into it today to learn it because I have no idea. It's like I'm a real estate agent. I have a different platform that I use. So I learned this for all of you today. So we're gonna kind of cloak through it, but we will figure it out. And soon somebody else will be way better than I am on it, and then we'll do another training, and that'll be fantastic. And you will be able to do the training for us because that will be awesome. But it will give you how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the appliances, right? Just go over most of the property's information. It'll tell you the rent value. We've done a lot of that, and we've talked about that. It does a pretty good job of telling you what a rent estimate is. Doesn't always have that. It'll also tell us any history on the property when it was listed. It'll tell us tax information, okay? And it will break down like a monthly cost calculator if somebody was to try and buy it. So those are all really good things. Unfortunately, though, what it can't, so it'll also show you nearby homes for sale. Okay, that's cool, right? It'll kind of give you at least the neighborhood. This is interesting. Why is it showing that? Okay. So you have a random house that's, whoa, super valuable in a neighborhood that, why is it doing that? Go away. Go away. Oh my, come on. Super slow computer. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that is what it will do. So I don't know why Zillow's being super clunky, but nevertheless, so it'll show you there's the 1.2 and there's that subject property that we were just on, right? So it's right here. And then it'll tell you all the home, like what the homes are worth in the neighborhood. Okay, that's cool. Unfortunately, what it will not do is tell you what a home has sold for. It used to, but it's just not something. So if I were before, when I was not an agent, this is why this is all new stuff for me, because even when I was an agent, something that Zillow would do is if you scrolled all the way down and you were logged in, and that was the key, you had to be like logged in and be like, hey, this is my account. Then it would actually tell you if you looked, let's see, neighborhood. So it would show you a neighborhood, and then right here it would actually show you comps, not nearby, being sold. But see how it doesn't tell you if they've sold? or these are all off market, so that's not helpful anyway. But right there would be like, oh, similar homes. Okay, these are all still, for sale. These aren't super helpful in the sense that they're not comps. They're not sold comps. So let's break this down a little bit. We have to give us some, notes here. So to run an ARV, a couple things you need to know. You need to know, and these are things you need to write down. And if somebody wants to be super amazing and put them in the chat, that would be super cool. Then people can just copy and paste that and put it in their own notes. The size of the property. You need to know the square footage of the property to run an ARV, and you need to know the size of the lot to run an ARV. Okay, and I'm going to show you multiple ways to find that tonight. Number 2, you need to know the age that the home was built. Okay, and that will be super relevant to comping it right this second, so that you understand the value of the current, right? The property in which the worth of the property right this second. Not so much on the back end, that's not going to be relevant. And this is something that a lot of my agents, didn't know. When they list a property, they never change. If they've remodeled the property, I don't know why agents don't do this, but here's a teaching opportunity for you, and for you to teach your agent if you're not using me or somebody that's on our team. If you have remodeled your home, there's a spot on the MLS that actually says, right, year built, and then right below that it says effective year built. You need to change that to the year in which it was finished. So if you did a full remodel and it looks beautiful, it needs to say effective year built 2023 or whenever you got finished with it, right? And when you're listing it, that changes everything when you're actually searching for properties. And if people have criteria on what they're looking for, and it changes the CMA for the new agent when you're listing a home. So hopefully that's helpful. So keep that in mind. Number 3 is style of the home. Okay, you cannot compare a house you can't compare this house with this house. Why? Well, this is a 2-story home, and this is a rambler, right? These two you could potentially, this doesn't have a garage, this does have a garage. So that might not be a great comparable, right? But maybe this guy and the other guy was. Again, this is a townhouse, so just kidding. This is not a 2-story. Well, it is a 2-story, but it's a townhouse. So that would be not, right? You can't compare a townhouse to a single family home. That's a great example. Right? A condo, you can't compare a condo, well, this is also a townhouse, but you can't compare a condo to a single family home. So understanding the type of home, the style, right? A Tudor, a cottage type home, most of them are going to be obviously single family or multifamily or land or townhouse or condo. Like those are the type, or commercial, excuse me. So those are the types of, ways you can list a property. So that's one category. And then the style. So it needs to know if it's a rambler. A rambler just simply means there's an upstairs and a downstairs. That's what a rambler means. And most of the time, they're the exact same square footage on top as they are on the bottom. Not always, because you have a garage and, different things. But most of the time, that's what dictates that it's a rambler. When I'm running an after repair value, sometimes I have to my broad stroke is if I'm on my MLS, I get rid of all the rules. I don't put any rules inside the MLS. If I'm comping a property, and to figure out what the ARV is, I want to know everything that is sold in that area within this zip code, right? Within about a mile out, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, from the subject property. I want to know what's sold within a mile and everything that's sold, just to give an idea of what is selling, right? What has sold. But then from there, I'll obviously dial it in, because an appraiser, at the end of the day, guys, the whole point, and gals, I should say, guys and gals, the whole point on why we need to figure out what an ARV is because we don't make money actually until we sell the property, right? We can kind of all agree to that. And so really knowing what an appraiser is going to say the home is worth is what we're trying to figure out. And so understanding the key indicators that they're going to put into their algorithm and the things that they have to say, oh, this adds value to a home. This adds value to a home. There's a lot of things that people do to their property that do not add any value to a property. One of those things Mitch always talks about, and so many of our videos is cement, right? People are always like, ooh, like you have all these cracks in your cement, blah, blah, blah. And they're always, say that. And I always go, well, when our appraiser shows up, there's no spot on an appraisal to be like, perfect cement, there's no cracks. No, but it costs thousands of dollars to fix. So why do it? It really doesn't affect your ARV in any way. Now, could it affect somebody wanting to buy the house? Sure. So maybe you still fix it if it's bad enough. But at the end of the day, right, it doesn't affect the value of the home unless it's severe. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. We're gonna jump. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't finish my list. So that's number 4, or number 3 was style of the home. Number 4, same city, same zip code. End of story. Okay, same city, same zip code, about a 1 mile radius. Also, with that being said, right, so that's kind of summing that up. If you have to go outside of that 1 mile radius, be cautious. That means the market's slow. That's fine. But also it means that there might be just not enough turnaround to make it worth your time. Maybe you're sitting on a property too long. So look at days on market, right? How long has that one house or the 4 homes that did sell, how long did they sit there? Maybe it's not a super active area. And that is concerning if you are a fix and flipper, or if you're wholesaling a property, people might not be super excited about that area. So don't pass over. This is another thing when we'll look at bigger ways to look at this. But if you zoom in right here, this 2 point, gosh, why is so dumb? This property here and this property here wouldn't probably be a comp, right, to each other. And that's because you're crossing this huge highway, right? So anything that's over here in Sugar House is not going to be a comp on the other side of this highway. Is that fair to say? Okay. I'm burning through this because there is so much information around this that you guys are gonna be like, we need part 2, part 3. Like I take days to explain this to my agents. So that's something too. And if you're an agent and you're like, Maeli, I actually need I need time to figure out how to create ARVs for more clients. The answer is you should be an ARV expert as a real estate agent for yourself, but also for our community. We all need your attention. We all need your help. But also you could be having multiple real estate investor clients outside of even our community and provide value to them. Last year, Mitch and I bought, I think, 12 homes on the MLS, and only 4 of them I found. That means a different agent who understood our criteria and how we buy homes made a commission on, the 8 other homes that we purchased. That's crazy. Awesome, right, for you guys. So if you just understood how to run comps and understood what we were looking for, why not be the real estate agent that we're looking for? But not only just us, there's hundreds of investors out there that need exactly what you're doing and your ability to comp properties. Okay, so hopefully, even if you're not an agent, you can still comp properties and bring the deal to us. We're all about that. We can pay you a wholesale fee, right? And that's what wholesaling is all about. We can obviously dive a little bit more into that. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at the highways thing. Number 5, sold in the last 90 days. Okay, so again, the market is a little weird. So keep in mind that, I was talking to an appraiser last week and he said because it's a stable market, he will go up to a year, an entire year. Okay, that's good to know. Would I ideally like to see the last 90 days? Absolutely. And so that's where I start. So if you're comping your property, I would start at 90 days. If you are but you're struggling finding something that is sold, it could mean 2 things, right? It could mean that the area is just not hot enough and sorry, maybe you're going to be sitting on it for a minute. Or it could mean that, once a home comes up for sale, it's gone in seconds, but that neighborhood, their people are waiting to die. I hate to say it like no one moves kind of a thing, right? Or if they do move, it just immediately goes down to their family. And that happens a lot here in like Mill Creek area, which is, another fantastic area just right here. Murray, there's a lot of that happening. So Bountiful, that's another area where people just don't move. And so if they do, it's like, oh, there's a house for sale. Okay, fantastic. But again, that just doesn't happen all that often. All right, I'm going to show you a couple things. Yes, I'm going to show you a couple things. So if you go to your, back end office, you're going to see a tab that says Renatus iOS. Oh, I don't know why my computer is bugging out so hard tonight. I'm sorry, people. So Renatus iOS is I will say the guy that teaches this might be a little difficult it's okay. It's okay. You can get through it. He's great. The value is there. The value is there. Renatus iOS. Fantastic. I would go through the entire system, right? And understand exactly how to run your leads, how to organize your leads, how to market your leads, how to create follow-up drip systems, and how to put stuff under contract and create a nice flowing wholesaling business or fix and flip business, right? It comes with leads. And to do that, you need to find properties. And then from there, you got to follow up with people. Tools. Let's jump into some tools. So Renatus iOS is going to ask you, let's see here, this is this. I'm going to back out of this. How do I get out of this guy? Why is it doing? Oh, what? I don't want that. See, we're going to learn together tonight. We're going to be patient and it's going to be fine. Why is it stuck on this picture? I don't know why. Okay, just log me out is what happened. So no big deal. I did that. So this is the process. So if you wanted to, that's how you get there. Okay, so you go to Renatus iOS, and then a great place to start, and it is $0 for your first 30 days. You do still need to put your credit card in, but then from there it's $124 a month, but you do get a free 30-day trial. So I would say sign up. I know I already have an account, so I need to log in. It's not letting me log in. Mitch, any help here? Why is it not letting me?
Try going through Helios. Is that what you just did?
Yeah, that's exactly what I just did.
Okay, go to
Maeli.
Then go to renatusios.com.
The way I found to get into it, I go to the Renatus iOS, then click on the free trial. When it has you go to sign up, down below it says, I already have an account. You click on that and it lets you log in.
Okay.
So if you just scroll down, click on the 30-day free trial. Right below there, it says, I already have an account. Click here to log in. Right there.
You are the best. Who is speaking? I don't have my...
That's Wade.
That's Wade Johnson.
Oh, hi, Wade. Thanks, friend. I appreciate you.
I've been using this.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? Chime in at any time, because I learned how to use this today. So I spent through all the training, and I'm like, okay, we're going to learn, how to make this happen today. This is how we...
This is one of our most requested things. It's, Maeli's an agent, so we have the agent tools, that we use. But people constantly ask us, well, what if I'm not an agent, right? Then what do I do? And we're like, well, we need to find a solution for you. Well, Renatus has provided that solution. It's it's an additional service that they provide outside of their education, but it's also an awesome one. I used to use Renatus iOS back before Maeli was an agent. Obviously, when she got her license, we canceled our subscription because we just didn't need it anymore. It was a redundant tool for us, but it's been awesome. And Wade, what have you thought of it so far?
It has helped. I use this in conjunction with Zillow and Redfin and Realtor. I use all those together, and I kind of take an average of what I've been finding in all of them. But each one of them gives a little different information that's been helpful.
Yeah. And actually,
I still don't know how to use that information, so I'm learning.
Well, hey, you're always learning, right? Be willing to learn. couple things though is I actually learned a lot today. So how about that? I learned a lot, and what I learned was that I should have been still. They've updated a lot of stuff in the last 40 years, and I wish I would have been using this over the last 4 years. Some things that I didn't have, and I do now on my phone, which is fantastic. So y'all can go to Real. It's called Lead Flow, and you can download it right now, which is fantastic. And it looks like. Can you see that? Probably not. Anyway, it says lead flow. But you can be, so for door knocking, like, oh my, and this is my jam, right? Door knocking. I was like, what? At a glance, you can keep track of all of your leads. This is what I used to type. This was the type of product I used to use with Vivint or any of the other companies. It was amazing to really keep track of who you're talking to. It'll tell you how much they owe on their mortgage. It'll tell you, who lives there. What? Why have I not had this in my life for the last 4 years? Like, this is fantastic. I mean, I'm going through tax data, on my MLS, and I find this information, but to have it at a glance, everything you need. I wish I could pull it up on I'm sure there's a way to do it on my computer, but more convenient on my phone, right? I'm like, oh, hello. So it's like, send a postcard. I can send a postcard to this person immediately. Like, thank you. Appreciate that. No, it tells me how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the square foot, the lot size, the house style, tells me the parcel number. You always have to have that if you're making an offer. Estimated balance left on their mortgage. Like, what? Estimated equity. This person's in the negative by 200 grand. Yikes. That's a good seller finance deal right there. Because they're screwed. Tax information. The last sale, like, what? It tells you the last sale of this home was 9/11/2019. Like, okay, that's cool. I highly recommend downloading this app, Lead Flow. I'm obsessed. Like, I can't even right now. I'm like, what? I have this. Y'all need it immediately. Go get this awesome product. So Lead Flow will be a game changer for me, but I'm sure for a lot of you, because you'll be using it in conjunction. So how I did and signed up for Lead Flow is I signed up through my Renatus iOS, and it'll ask you if you want to do that. So I don't know, I didn't have to pay for Lead Flow, but my assumption is because I used Renatus iOS to log into Lead Flow, it just came together with the same price. So that would be my assumption. What that happens if you assume things though. So if somebody wants to chime in and verify that that's the case, feel free to do that. But we'll just keep going if not.
You were correct.
I am correct. Oh, this is how I found it. So scan that QR code. There you go. Scan that QR code. And if you don't already have Renatus iOS, then I don't know. Find out, right? Scan the code, and then you can kind of find out how that works. And if you have to, if it charges you, but I just connected our account to each other. So that's why it shows that. Okay, so how fun. Property leads, direct mail, right? You can just mail people right out. I don't know what the website is. Properties and all your contacts. So this is where you can keep track. It's like a nice CRM, right? Keeps track of everything for you. So cool. I did not, however, understand all the different reasons to use this. So I'm going to learn more about how to use the Renatus iOS. But what it does talk about in the training is how to leverage these other properties, because you're going to need to figure out how to comp properties. So they suggest for you to then sign up with, and again, if you have Renatus iOS, you can just log right into flipcomp.com. I don't think it didn't cost me anything when I did that. Therefore, I think it's kind of like it's all together, right? But not, you should just write it down anyway. It's called flipcomp.com. I have found this also very, very interesting because it gives you a lot of fantastic information. Let me move my face.
So Maeli, how it works is the same company owns all these softwares, and you can buy them all individually, but it ends up being much more expensive. So they've just basically bundled them for Renatus students and sold them to they give them to us at a discount, right? And
Okay.
this is why it costs extra, because Renatus doesn't actually own these softwares. It's more of just a partnership with RealFlow, who owns all these various softwares. And as Renatus students, we get discounts.
Heck yeah. As we should. I love it. And all the trainings. I mean, all those trainings are free too that you can go watch in your back office. So I love that that's such huge value. I mean, I literally just spent 3-4 hours today just burning through how to download all this stuff and how to get integrated within the system. Very cool. Again, as an agent, I don't know if I'd be using Flip Comp all that much, although I will say a couple things I learned today that I thought my MLS doesn't do that. So it definitely, you can do auction, or you can't do auction. You can do short sale and standard sale, but you can't do auction. So I thought that was cool that you can actually, dictate that. You can also do keywords. So you can do like, see if that pops up anything. Hope I didn't spell that right. That's probably... Oh, condo, single family homes. Okay, we're gonna get rid of the zip code thing because that probably. Let's do like any. Oh, I don't know what my computer's doing tonight. Sure, having a good time by itself though. Where did you go? Well, I mean, I guess it had its own mind of its own tonight. Maybe it found us something really good. I have no idea. Let's see if it'll give us public records, day back. So you can go 180 days back, 360, right, that we were talking about. You can say same city, same zip, the radius, which we were talking about, 1 mile. You can go smaller if you're feeling like that was more important. The type of property, once again, single family, condo, or townhome. You could say, right, you can say status. I want to see all the active homes. I want to see the pending homes, and I want to see just sold. So that's nice. You can actually see sold comps and sold comparables here versus you go to Zillow or you go to Redfin, you're no longer able to see sold comps as far as I've been told, as far as what I can see when I log in. You can change how many baths. Can you compare a property that has 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms? Yes, you can. The only difference is there will be a value add to the 4 bedroom, right? You can, it's harder, it's not exact. Again, this is messy. I'm telling you, it's not exact. It's never going to be exact, but you can try. The square footage. Let's talk about a square footage rule when you're trying to comp. I like to say about 300 to 300 home. So let's say this home had 3,000 square feet, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to look at all homes that are 2,700 square feet, and then 2, right, greater than 300 square feet. So then I'll be 3,300. So I'm going to do a gap between them like that, if that makes sense. So this would probably be too much, right? I would go probably more like that. That would be my favorite gap, maybe like that. Oh, that's a little too, right? Somewhere like that makes sense. About 5,000 square feet. I don't go above and floor. I think most comparables from appraisers are going to be right there at 400 plus or minus. So it just kind of depends on the appraiser and who's doing it. The lot size, again, you don't want to compare a lot that's like, oh, this has a half an acre and this has 0.25. You can, absolutely. And the only thing that I would say is if you have a property, this is key. If you have a property and you have 0.5 more or you have 0.25 more land than all your comps, I would not give yourself more value. I wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to sell my house for X, blah, 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 and give your like tack on value. It's a bonus value, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a value that an appraiser is going to give you, just so you know. Like land should be a ton of more value, but it just actually isn't. It's more like a bonus. It's kind of like a perk to why somebody would want to buy your house. Or recently I discovered having a 80 unit in your backyard. It's a huge push in Salt Lake County right now, where it's like, ooh, yeah, build a second home essentially in your backyard for an apartment or, mother-in-law suite or type thing, or convert a garage. And same, I was helping Mary kind of look at this. And so it made me go, oh, I need to know more about this. So I called a couple different appraisers, and both of them really gave me the same advice, which is you can add value, right, when you're looking at your listing, but make sure that the value that you're giving it is 70% of the total value. So if it was let's call it a $600,000 home, do the math real quick, then you could say times by 70, and you could give yourself $42,000 extra in your mind by adding an AU. So is it worth it? I don't know, right? We just got a bid back today from Tough Shed, and Tough Shed can do all sorts of cool stuff, right? And from start to finish, it's about 4 months, but they do all the permitting, they do the electrical, they do, the plumbing, whatever it is, they'll put all in. This isn't, excuse me, for an ADU unit, this is just a garage, but so there wouldn't be any plumbing going in, but electrical was included in it. For $22,000 for a 2-car garage. That seems pretty freaking awesome, because a stick build is not that. I can tell you that right now. It's closer to $60,000 to do that. So there are options where it's like, well, wait a second. If my return is on this house, if it's a $600,000 home out front, essentially, and then in the back, you're going to put an ADU in, and you're saying, hey, I could get an extra $42,000. But it's only going to cost me maybe 26 with cement pour. That's a pretty good return, actually. And adding a ton of value to somebody wanting to move into this area, that could be a reason to do that. Anyway, that's how you do the math. Hopefully that's helpful. And I did verify that with a couple people. All right, so let's see here. What else should we talk about? Comps. Okay, that's what it did. So if you scroll down here, these are all of the comps that it's saying that this property, I don't even know what property we clicked on, but we clicked on a property. It found one for us is what happened. And this is in South Jordan, Utah. So that's a good area to be doing work in right now. And it's going to give us the price, the square footage, the build, the lot, the square, right, everything. Going to build that out for us, so you don't have to do any of that work. And then it's going to tell you over here the listed and then the sold. Okay, so that's so nice. If it says NA, I'm sure that just means that it just doesn't know when it was listed, which I don't know why, but it does tell you when it was sold. That's super helpful, right? These are all within the 180 days that we talked about, so that's why it's giving only those. If you change that search when I typed in days back, if we were to change that, right, you would have different days back. But that's how you figure it out. So then you scroll down here. So these are all your comps, and we'll get to how you can just do an analyze the your after repair value. So after repair value is here, and that's where you put that in. I don't know on this. So this is where I'm like, okay, curious how they don't give you an actual number. I would like to see an actual number. This gives you what? Let's see what it gives you. So if you click just actually on the property, it's going to give you the after repair value, which is kind of nice. And when I was reading, or when I was listening to the gentleman go through everything, I thought how cool that it literally is doing it for you. It said that it was like 98% accurate. Not bad. And the way it's doing it is it's pulling data from Zillow, from Redfin, from the MLS, and it said that within 5 minutes. So if I sold a property, within 5 minutes from the actual county recording it, it would show up on Flip Comp. So that's pretty good. I mean, that means that it's going to be just as good as the MLS, essentially.
I like, too, that if you notice on that list of comps down there, if you don't like one of those comps, you can just delete it. You can just hit that trash can button, and it takes the comp out of the equation.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. Don't know why. Also, we're in Draper. Okay, hold on. I gotta figure this out. I'm so confused on where and why we're all over the map in the city. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna type in an actual address that we talked about because I don't know. I don't know what exactly it did. Let's start this over a little bit. I don't know why my internet's so slow tonight. I'm sorry. All right, maybe we'll figure this out. So back to just kind of information. It's saying right out the get-go, ARV is 552,279. So that is our ARV. Now I would be curious to then compare it, right, to the MLS, and we can if we are so inclined. But yeah. Let's see here, description. These are all of the comps and how we look through comps. So this is the target property. I love that. And it's not going out more than a mile. So I love that. However, are we passing a major, road here? The answer is yes. It's actually like right on a major road. So that kind of sucks because it's on this side, right? So realistically in Mill Creek, these would be our comps. It would be hard to say that these would be the same comps just because it's passing a big major road. However, because I do know this area, it'd be kind of sexist to be honest. It's not that big of this road, 3300 South, is not a defining road like you're passing a big major highway. It's just not. Highland Drive, however, because I know this area, Highland Drive, absolutely, you don't cross these two boundaries, right? So if it started giving me comps over here, so that's cool that it knew that, right? It knew, but it did on this side, and you wouldn't. So those immediately, I'd be like, oh, does it let me delete those? No, it doesn't. So how do I know which one that is on here? That's kind of clunky, but that's okay. We can work with it. 1428. Let's see here, 1428. So I'd go over here and I'd just delete that, right? Because that's not a comp. And again, unfortunately, you would need to know the area, but really don't be working in an area that you don't know. Or I guess ask for advice, but 3020 for a neighborhood, go drive the neighborhood, right? It's pretty obvious. Like if you go drive a neighborhood, if you show up to a property and you're like, oh, I'm actually pretty interested in this house. Or right now we have Google Maps. We can straight up just go walk the property. We can go walk around the area that are leaving our wonderful home. So it's like, oh, okay, look at these cute little houses.
Maeli,
Yes.
I hate to interrupt. With those comps, we have found if we click on them, you can actually go and look at the detail of them. So you can actually see if the outside of the house looks like the one you're comparing it to. And you can look at the neighborhood too and compare them. At least it was working that way on the iOS when I was in there using it. It pulled up, so I could look at both of them side by side and say, okay, that is a good comparable. Or no, this one's one story, that one's two story, this one has a garage, this one doesn't. It made it so you can visually see the two side by side.
How do you see that?
That was over on the iOS. Right now you're on the flip comp. When I was on the iOS, I could put in the actual properties. And you're in an option. I went up here. I'm on your top left-hand corner of the little house to go back to the home. And I click on there, right there, search for your property. I type in the property there and then search. Then it brings up the property here. And then you've got comparables. And you click on that comparables and it'll bring up a list with your criterias right up there next to your property details.
Okay.
And then here with each one of your comps, underneath the search, you see that little box with the arrow on it. If you click on that, it'll actually let you jump to those addresses using Zillow or whatever, and you can actually see what the comp looks like. And we were finding that helpful today because we were looking at some areas outside of Utah And of course, we don't know the areas, so we actually use the visual to see what the neighborhoods look like. Sorry, I'll back out now.
No, don't back. I mean, this is fantastic.
Don't be sorry. You're
And
providing value, my friend. We
these are
appreciate that.
masterminds for a reason. I opened up with, we're going to learn this together.
Jessie also has her hand raised. Jessie,
Oh, Jesse, yes.
did you have a question or comment?
I do. Sorry. Wade and I were discussing this earlier. Usually I was taught you take 3 comps, average of 3. Do you do more than that, or do you just go by 3?
I'd say minimum of 3.
The minimum of 3. Yeah.
Minimum of 3.
Minimum of 3.
Okay.
It's kind of depends on the property, right? I mean, sometimes you're only going to get 3 because of the area or, whatever it might be. But so 3 is the minimum. I've unfortunately recently, just because of how, how slow the market's been, recently I comped one and I only had 2 comps. And I was like, well, this is all I got. Here you go. Right. Sorry.
Fine.
And now an appraiser do that. An appraiser is going to find 3 comps. That's what the banks force them to do. So they will figure out another comp, and it might not be pretty, right? So I would try and figure out what they would comp. Maybe try and open up the radius, more than 1 mile. They can hop lines, like big boundary lines if they need to. If you're doing a really big, beautiful remodel, we have to count. We're hopping sometimes. Like, oh well, I have a property in Fruit Heights, but we're gonna have to go all the way to Bountiful because there's really not a comparable type of property that is sold that's done nice like this, unless you go as far as Bountiful, and you can do that. I mean, it just depends on the property.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Please continue to ask away. If you're just come off mute. I mean, if you got a question, and you're like, I have something valuable to add, please just chime on in, because again, we're just learning here. So wait, you had said, let me just see, that if last 6 months, that's good. Actually, I'm gonna zero that back into the last 3 months. Let's see a little bit smaller radius. Okay, so this is the subject property, right? Yes. And then it's saying that, what are the zeros? I don't know.
It looks like over there on the list, the ones that are showing zeros, that's the sold amount. It doesn't actually have them listed. It looks like there's a couple there that do have price tags on them, and they're green. But if you look right there across your search thing, as distance, bed, bath, square footage, and under sold, it's got a $0 amount there, and I think that's what the zeros represent on that little thing.
Yeah, why do they even have them then? That's weird. But okay.
Yeah, we were using this in Texas, and so we were showing us the sold amount because it's a disclosure state, and so it was showing us all of the sold prices, which made it helpful.
Yeah, I wonder why.
They may have been for sale by owner. Then the MLS wouldn't have data. So you can just remove those comps from
like a wholesale.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, then you can climb on over here. Oh, hey. This should tell us, right? So 0, 0. Yeah, cash buyer. So that's exactly what it was. Somebody bought it as maybe a fix and flip, or somebody bought it just off the MLS.
So Utah is not a disclosure state. So so if you don't sell your house using an agent, it's not required that you disclose what you sold it for. So that's why sometimes we get data like that. So we have to rely on the data that's available to us, and just clear out the ones that we don't have data on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part of doing business in Utah.
Yeah, sure. But how cool is this? Truthfully, I actually love that I'm seeing this right now, because my investor eyes just went ding-a-ling-a-ling. Because if I know that it's a cash buyer, I know this person owns this outright. It says absentee owner. Interesting. I would want to do some research on that. Go find that person's phone number and call them, because they might be open to seller financing, right? that could be a cool lead. I would take advantage of this. I love when I find little things like this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this. Free and clear, yeah, like what? But it isn't an absent owner potentially. I'm curious how accurate too. Like, whoa. Based on county records of how this property was purchased. High equity, love that, right? It's like, ooh, maybe they could do a deal. That's got some equity in it. Okay, so thumbs up. I don't know. Say remove from comp. There you go. So if this is something that you're like, that's not an actual good comp, and it says it's an active listing, well, it's not a comp, right? So get rid of it. This is a cash buyer. They own it outright. You have to get rid of it. It wants to update. Give me something to update. Yeah, so most of these we're just going to kind of click through quick. Right? Am I doing this right? We're gonna figure it out together. Okay, we are ready. So now, what's this guy? Pending. I'm curious. You could call, right? You call the agent because it's obviously on the MLS right now. So you could call and be like, hey, what do you have this under contract for? And a lot of times they'll actually tell you, and that way you can continue to add this if you needed to. In this case, we don't need to because, and then this is currently active, it looks like. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And then now we have 3. So there you go. At least you have 3 comps. And say, okay, it's within, the 1 mile distance. This one only has 2-bed, not 3-bed. So again, this would probably be more value, added more value. I don't know why this one's so cheap. We'll need to actually have a visual on this property. And then after repair value. Nope, after, it's
That's the same as ARV.
Okay, you can. Ooh, I like that. Okay, how many stories? The lot, your bill, retail, rental.
If you go up there in the blue selection bar up there, it says select all. If you select those, it'll select all those comps, and then right there it gives you the average sell price, your average AVM, and your square footage average for those homes.
There we go. Okay. Cool. Bada bing, bada boom. But where does it show? Oh, up top, right here. Okay, so average sell price, there's your after repair value. Cool. Done. So now from here, based on the comps in which it's showing us, now we haven't actually looked at the properties. I'd be curious to, they're upside down, delinquent tax activity. Ooh, go call that person on Zenith Avenue. Oh my gosh, this is the lady.
That's like 2 doors down from one of the flips that we've done. Because we did a flip on 830 Zenith.
This is Denise. I'm going to laugh so hard. Will it tell me her name?
Yeah, owner name up.
Huh?
Right there, owner name, Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany. It's not. Maybe. I wonder. Huh. Remember that lady that I went
do.
and talked to? Crazy. Okay. Can only buy a property in God's money. Did you know that God's money is gold and silver only? She would not take cash. Interesting. Okay.
Then we told her we'd pay her in gold.
I know.
And she said, do you know how I could convert that to U.S. currency? It's like, oh, well, why don't we just pay you in U.S. currency then if you're going to convert it back?
See, nutty.
Some people.
Estimated mortgage balance, like this is wonderful. I mean, we don't get this on the MLS, so I'm loving everything that I'm seeing here. I will learn more about this. I'm going to dive into this again. This is the first time I've ever logged into this. That's embarrassing to admit, but sometimes in life we have to be vulnerable and recognize when we are wrong, and I have been wrong. And
on this, it'll show what her interest rate is on her mortgage as well.
Right here. Let's see.
Up in the next the section just right above transactions, right there, it has what the loan amount was for. Oh, you just passed it. Just down a little bit further. Right there in the blue, it says it was a 30-year term. 6.7% interest rate. It recorded in September.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
That's helpful if you're wanting to do owner finance or take over their mortgage, if you can see what their interest rates are.
Yeah.
And it tells you who they're in their mortgages. I'm not going to go
Yes.
to, if it was before they sold, right? Before they got this new, now it's intercap lending that has their mortgage. Perfect. I'd go do that all day. But if it was America First, there's no way I'd go talk to them. I'd be like, never mind.
Well, and what's beautiful about this is even if you're doing awesome for seller financing because you can see what their interest rate is, but even if you're doing a flip, you see what their mortgage balance is. And so, as you're doing your quick analysis, always that's our second step, right? We generate the lead, we do our quick analysis. Our quick analysis is going to tell us what our based on the math, it's going to tell us what our maximum offer price can be, right? The highest we can go in our offer, which leads to the next step, which is negotiation. We know immediately once we know what our maximum offer price is, if that's below what they owe on their mortgage, then there's no use in even calling them. It's not a lead. Move on, right? Move on to the next one. So that makes that easy because then you don't have to have that conversation. You don't have to go to tax data. It's all just right there for you.
It's bam. I mean, that is, how cool is that? I am just loving. I don't even know why I'd go to Flip Comp, kind of now. I went and did a bunch of stuff in Flip Comp because I was like, oh, I got to learn that now. But I probably would have just stayed right here in Renatus iOS, to be honest. Maybe, can you tell me why you would use both, just to compare, like what they're saying versus what Renatus iOS is saying?
I've never used FlipComp before. Wade, have you used FlipComp?
We haven't used FlipComp, but we do use PropStream. And PropStream gives a lot of the same information that iOS does, but we're finding that PropStream a lot of the time is really low on their estimates. And so we've been using a combination of all of them. We're getting rid of PropStream eventually, but we've been using this against PropStream, against Zillow. And we figured the more information we have, the better estimate average we can get. So that's how we've been breaking it down. But I still haven't learned how to use the iOS fully, so I'm sure it's got everything we're going to need.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just diving in. I'm going, holy smokes, there's so much here to just, the value stack is just absolutely incredible. So back to recognizing that it's done a lot of the work for us, in the sense here, let me just go back here. So right out the gate, deal alert. Oh, search, save, get fresh leads delivered to your inbox. We'll monitor your saved searches for new leads, allowing you to focus on other aspects of your business. Simply save, search, and deal alerts. So this is, again, a huge cool thing, because this is what I do with my, you can do this on Zillow, but you can't on a lot of criteria with Zillow, but this would be really cool. So you could set criteria of, if properties, this was something that they were saying you can do. I don't know how to do it right this second, but if you wanted to be like, okay, any property that pops up in this zip code that says they have a ton of equity in their property, I want to know about it. And you can say how much equity you want. So if they have more than 40% equity, bam, now you're going to know about it. Something that's cool about that I think that I'm going to start leveraging when it comes to wholesaling is I can essentially come to them and be like, hey, because all hard money lenders right now are asking for at least 20%, if not, 15 to 20% down, right, to purchase the property. So they're going to do loan to value 15 to 20%. 80% or 85%. And so you have to come up with 20 to 15%. If that's the case, sometimes you don't have that 20% or 15%. Obviously, we're going to learn how to raise other people's money and you can go do all of those amazing things. But if that homeowner would be willing to stay in the deal for 6 to 12 months, right, they could be essentially a part of the deal, work the deal out with them. I mean, that'd be an incredible opportunity for that. If they have already equity, right, in the property, that would be cool. And just throwing out ideas to really make some magic happen. All right, I'm gonna go back. Let's see. I don't even know what I clicked on, so we're just gonna start. Zenith, I would go check this property out. Somebody should go do that because this is a cool property. It's in some type of arrears. I'll go look at it. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. Oh, this is what it keeps doing. All right, I don't know. They'll know what I'm doing. Back to list. Well, go back to.
One thing we found also up there, it
Mhm.
says the Renatus iOS Insights. It gives you the retail, the rental of value, and the wholesale. But we compared what they say right there on the wholesale to actually going through the comps that they give you. And we were coming up with different numbers than what this does. So I don't know what their algorithm is right here to give you that option of wholesale. But if you go into the comps, we were coming up with different numbers today, what that was doing. And it says up here it goes by like 35%
Yeah,
of the
but that.
value.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't hold true for everything because it just depends on the neighborhood. So
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's subject to what you know, because every wholesaler too has a different buying point, right? Or needs to make X amount of money on their deals. So I buy properties that are very different than you, Wade, right? And then vice versa to everyone that's out there. So that makes sense. The wholesale, would be very different. But as far as a blanket, right, just putting it under contract, I think that's not a bad number to recognize that they're saying, hey, if somebody wanted 35%, like this would be accurate, right? If that was their cost tag numbers. And then rent, that's cool that it's pulling that. I'm curious. I don't want glossary. That's interesting. And then retail. So this is saying what it's worth right this second, or is that what it's saying? Let's see, less than the lead flow value. What does that mean? Listed price 450. Okay, so it's actually more than the value of the home. Huh. Okay, well that's interesting. Now my curiosity is to obviously go check it out in signing into this guy. Curious. I know we have to get to it. Oh, it still has that on there, so I'm not gonna be able to look at it. They're charging me. Oh, this is fun. So they're charging me $1,000. I'm disputing it, but they're trying to charge me $1,000. I just got this today because, so this is good to know. So nobody does this. Learn from my mistakes. I'm all about it. 10 years ago, so we listed a property. It's one of ours. It's one of our condos. And 10 years ago, somebody had listed this property. That was the last time, right? When Mitch bought it. I wasn't around, so this was Mitch's property. He purchased this property from those pictures, right? I relisted this property. Shouldn't say that. Shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Some people that have been in the industry can get very crazy, right? Definitely agents. They have nothing to do. They get super like, oh, I have nothing to do. I might as well make a lot of noise. And that's in any industry, right? So it's just calling out agents because I'm an agent. I can say that. So anyway, somebody reported that I used pictures from the property that was from 10 years ago. I called the agent and asked her if I could use those pictures. Of course, she said, yes, they're 10 years old. Why would you want to use them? Well, it's because we have a tenant in there who doesn't want us to take pictures and is not excited about that. So we're like, fine, I'll just reach out and use the old pictures. It needs some help anyway. So it's like, whatever, it's gonna be an investor that buys it or a DIYer. And so we did reuse them. And then I got a fine. I got a $1,000 fine for reusing these pictures, even though it was, but you have to have written proof from the agent stating that you can. And it's because all of these companies that you're buying pictures from, not my companies, that's why I didn't know this. None of my companies that I use have this rule. But a lot of these companies out there right now, I'm not the only agent that has that has this fine. There's hundreds of agents right this second that have the same exact fine. It's because, again, they have nothing better to do, obviously, these photography companies, because they're losing a lot of money because there's not a lot of deal flow right now. And so they're coming up with ways to make money off of us. If we use their pictures, it's, I guess, in the agreement that you signed when you bought their pictures and had your videography done and all this stuff, that they own the right to the pictures. And then if you try to reuse them, they will do a whatever lawsuit against you and fine you. So that's what happened. Now I'm disputing it, and I know I'll win because, if it's your first offense, or if you have like an actual reason why you did it and it's like legit, and it's, they're usually pretty good to work with. But how sad is that? I'm locked out of my MLS tonight because of this. Like, I can't even get in. Oh, luckily I have a couple other people that I can just log in and do stuff. But anyway, how sad that that's the case. Luckily we'll get it handled. But keep that in mind. If you're a real estate agent, don't do that. You have to get permission from the photography company to reuse those pictures. And that actually was helpful because I just relisted a property that I had listed 2 years ago, and she had decided to cancel, as my client did. And then she wanted to reuse those same pictures. And I was like, ooh, now I know, right? I gotta go call that company that I originally bought those from and verify and have them resend them to me, even so that it's like clear I can reuse these. And they were totally like, yeah, why would we do that? I'm like, thank you. I don't know why you would I bought the pictures. I own them. Do I not? And he's like, they're like, oh, I guess not in your case. I'm like, what? Never seen any of this. Okay, that's probably all I have tonight. I think this was though super valuable because now we understand.
One quick thing, real quick,
Yeah.
before you wrap up, and I just want to make it clear. So if you could go back to, I want to talk about why we're doing this. Yeah, so let's stay on the screen for a second. I'm going to draw on your screen.
And I have a couple things I want to wrap up to finish out my thing. So finish what you're going to say, and then yeah.
So the reason finding this ARV, this after repair value, is important is because as we're analyzing deals, like I said, we want to be able to figure out what it is that we can offer, right? So by finding 3 comparables, taking the average of what those comparables are. So in this case, we have 3, right? We add all those up, we divide them by 3. That gives us the average sale price of $476. We're going to take that after repair value, and we're going to subtract our desired profit.
This is exactly where I was going, so I'm glad you're doing it.
We're going to subtract our estimated, at this point, you're just taking a guess, right? Construction cost. Usually for low-end properties, we go around $40 a square foot, mid-range 50, high-end 60 plus per square foot, right? So like this property, for example, square footage is 1167. We'll take, it's on Zenith Avenue in Sugar House, so probably mid-range to high-end. Let's just call it a high-end. We'll take $60 and times it by 1,167 square feet. That will give us our construction cost, our estimated construction cost, of course. And obviously, if you put this under contract, you're going to go get bids and stuff from contractors. But this is just how we can see the range that we need to negotiate in. Then we're going to subtract our buying costs. And we'll do a longer training on this. This is just a high-level overview. We're going to subtract our selling costs.
5%.
And then we're going to subtract our holding costs. So if we take the ARV and we subtract all of our things, all of those things, that will give us our maximum offer price. Now on the Wednesday nights when we play Deal or No Deal, you guys are going to recognize that equation. When we play Deal or No Deal, that's what we're practicing, is doing that analysis. But when we play Deal or No Deal, I just give you the comps. So how do we find those in real life? By using systems like this, right? Either we can go out and manually find those comps, or we can pay a convenience charge and get a software, Renatus iOS or PropStream or Flip Comp or whatever it is that you want to use, but something that can provide us with comps with ease so that we don't have to go do the manual work. And that gives us our starting point for that equation, right? But once we know our maximum offer price, what I was saying earlier is if our maximum offer price is lower than what they owe on their mortgage, don't even bother. Move on to the next lead, right? But if we know what they owe on their mortgage now, because Renatus iOS told us, and we know what our maximum offer price is, which is higher than their mortgage balance, then we know our window that we can negotiate in, right? And so while we're calculating our minimum desired profit, right? we can extend that in negotiation by understanding those things with the data that we've been provided here. So anyway, sorry, Maeli, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. I wanted to point that out because I know we have a couple of newer people on the call, and I wanted to share that. So
yeah, no, that's super helpful. And my note you put there too. So estimated construction cost. So in this case, it would be $66 or 66,000, excuse me. If you're doing 60,000 times the square footage, right? So so times square footage, that's, if you're going to write that down, I would, or take a picture. So estimated cost for construction is, in this case, was $60 per square foot. So that's 66,000, right? Buying costs, well, we haven't figured that out yet. We don't know. Selling costs, well, we do know that if you're going to use an agent and you're going to use a title company, that we're going to say it's 6%, and I would always calculate that in.
7% with the title company.
Huh?
7%.
Sorry, it was 7% with title company. Yep. So if that's the case, and we know if we're going off of this for the ARV, right? Then it's saying 463, 825 times 7%. So you're at 32,000. Right? So now you know, okay, it's going to cost me $32,000 on the back end. So calculate that in, and then your holding costs. So right now, right, it's a small house, so it probably shouldn't take you very long to renovate and and fix and flip. But if you're doing this as a wholesale, I don't calculate holding costs in there because you don't know how they could be buying this all cash for themselves, right? So if you're doing a wholesale deal, you don't need to calculate your holding costs. Is that fair? If you're, so that's why it's their job to do that. And that's why a lot of times you get kind of tricked and people lose their shorts on wholesales. And it's because this is exactly what they're doing. Why are you going to calculate their holding costs? You don't know their hard money lenders terms. You don't know their situation at all. You don't know if they're buying it on cash. So that can get you in trouble if you're not calculating hard money, right, on your side, and you're looking at a wholesale deal. Okay, keep that in mind. And then for you, though, if you are going to calculate a wholesale deal, most terms are 12% and then 2 points or 1 point up front. So right out the gate, you know that you can say, okay, I'm going to hold on to this property for minimum of 6 months would be the guess with sale, because you have to, even if it took you 4 months to remodel and 2 months to sell it, right? That's a minimum of probably 6 months. And
Haley?
so, huh?
I'm sorry to bother.
Yeah.
On the profit margin, if you're putting together a wholesale thing, is there like a standard profit margin we should put in there, a percentage, or just so we're making sense? We're not saying, oh, this person deserves $10,000, on this particular deal or whatever. Is there a margin we should stay within?
Yeah, I wouldn't. If it was me, I wouldn't do anything less than $30,000. No wholesaler or no flipper is going to get it if it's less than $30,000.
And Maeli and I have a minimum of 50,000. So that's what, when we're running our numbers, it's always 50 grand plus.
Yep.
Okay.
So I don't know any fix them. That's a fantastic question, because knowing those, right? So that when you're blasting, why even put something under contract if no one's going to buy it on the back end, right? But I do calculate. I try to calculate holding costs up front when I'm running my numbers, because then I at least know too their like if they were going worst case scenario, they did have holding costs. I still want there to be $30,000, margin. But then when I'm marketing it, if that makes sense, when I'm marketing it, I can be like, oh, well, actually, if I get rid of the holding costs, then now you're at $60,000. Now, when they go do their math, they might actually figure out that they're closer to $30,000 profit, and it's still a deal for them. Perfect. That would make me happy, right? But where deals get weird is when obviously people aren't doing correct ARVs, which this, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a correct ARV. You know why? I have a property right here of 332. Is that a comp? Probably freaking not, as an ARV at least. This is probably the bottom of the barrel. This is not a comp. If I were to actually click on it and go look at the property, this isn't a comp. This property would be, probably exactly the same property that I'm buying, which is a crap property.
You want me to clear this?
No, you're good. Actually, I should, try and get you a white screen, but I don't know how to do that, so I'm just gonna leave it.
So good.
That's a little bit wider. So that we're gonna have to do another training on this. But my whole point of wanting to do this training is you should go learn this. It's in your back end. It's in your office. I spent, like I said, exactly almost 3 hours today figuring it out. And I barely scratched the surface. There is so much training in there on this topic, which is rightfully so.
I will say, Whitney Stark just re-recorded. So we had Hugh Zaretsky's Real Estate Foundations class. So for those of you that are past Essentials, past Phase 1 already, Whitney Stark just re-recorded the Real Estate Essentials class. And she talks a lot about and uses Renatus iOS a lot in that training. So if you saw Hugh Zaretsky's version of the Real Estate Foundations, there's a new version in there. Maybe go back and watch Whitney Stark's version of Real Estate Foundations, because she does train a lot on Renatus iOS.
Perfect.
And it's
I'll
in
go do that
Essentials.
with you. See, I'm a student as well. It's brand new to me too. I haven't seen it. I missed that class, unfortunately, when it was being recorded. And I actually, how terrible of me, thought I didn't need it. Shame on me for first thinking that. I absolutely want this and need this in my life. So this will really streamline a lot of systems and allow me to be able to help you guys too when you have questions. So I will learn this. That is my commitment to you, but also you should commit to yourself. This is an incredible opportunity for you to have all the systems that you need all in one source. Like, this is fantastic. And then you have a spot for all your leads, right? You're able to be like, oh, okay, I can put this in, right, my heart systems. You can pin properties. They can send you properties. You can send them right from the Renatus iOS. You can actually drop ship postcards. I mean, this is all built in. I love this. I'm definitely going to be taking advantage. I'm glad that this got brought to my attention to do a training on this, because pretty cool. I will say that I liked the ARV structure better when I was doing the ARV in the flip comp. I will say that. And the reason is because it's a lot more, it feels more like the MLS to me. So for me, this was like, oh, I like this structure a little bit better. I can see exactly what I'm, looking at. It's all feels very much more like the MLS than what I'm used to. And I can be like, okay, that for sure, that is a comp. That's not a comp, right? And I can delete that really quickly, get rid of it, and then it'll give me an ARV. I feel like that would be more of my style. So interesting that I might use both. And then here it actually has the deal analyze calculator also. So if you, right here, it's telling us what the ARV is, because, right, we have all these comps and it's calculating. How an ARV is calculated is square footage, price per square footage. That's right. And then the difference. So that is how it's calculating the ARV. And that's how an agent and, an appraiser is going to do it. They're going to do price per square foot, right? The sold price per square foot, on this side. And then those three. So if it was this property, this property, and this property, they would do these three and then calculate the difference. And that would be your price per square foot. And it would give you exactly what your ARV is over here. Because it's calculating all of these comps, this is what it came to. And that's why I like it, because it's giving you a huge broad range, of comps. Some of them are, some of them aren't. It'll fall somewhere in between here. Perfect. I would love, that's exactly what I do as an agent. I usually do between 6 and 10, right? Like, I try and give like a very broad, like, ooh, it could kind of, if it falls in between here, we're going to be good to go. I take out all the ones that are small. Like, I would have deleted that one, right? I'd be like, nope, that one's obviously not. And then I would have looked at each property inside, because a comp means that it's actually been updated, right? The kitchen's been updated, the bathrooms have been updated, paint, carpet, right? They've done something to really bring that value up to the home. If they haven't, it's not an ARV, it's a comp to the home that you're purchasing. So I throw it out, right? Anything that's like, whoop, nope, that's ugly. Nope, that's ugly. That hasn't been remodeled. Get rid of that, right? So you can just right out the gate look at that and be like, okay, obviously price per square foot, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that, right? So that's what I'm doing here. And then obviously sold price too, because that's completely irrelevant. It's not even in our price range of what should be sold. So now we're at 552. See, didn't change very much, even though I did that. And then purchase price It doesn't know what that is just yet. Estimated hold time, 6 months. So this is kind of cool because it just kind of builds in this little calculator for you. And then you can say, okay, cash needed at closing, the loan total needed, meaning obviously repair value or the cost to do the construction and the purchase of the home, and then net profit. If I filled out this entire form, it would give us a net profit. So that's kind of cool. It has all that built in if you change out all of these.
There's your quick analysis calculator.
There's your quick analysis calculator, which I like. I thought that was really cool. If we had more time tonight, I would probably fill all that out and look through it. But I want to dive more into this. I really am excited to learn a little bit more on how to leverage this system, because we should all be taking massive action right now. We, as investors, will make, this is when millionaires are made, right? And you should tell all your friends, you should have an abundance mindset. We need more bodies to learn this strategy. We need more people to understand that this is readily available to you right this second. And there are hundreds of people out there that are in a situation where they're in distress. Wait, are you still there real quick?
Yes.
I'm certain that Ronis iOS has a spot where you can just find distressed properties.
Yes, we've been using it in combination. There's search words, and we've been using fix or fix and flip, and all it brings up is distressed properties in our listings. And so we'll go into a zip code, type in that zip code, and in the search itself and the keywords right there at the top. No, that's here. It's in one of the filters. I'm sorry, it's easier when I'm typing it in.
Sure.
One of the features, you can actually put in keywords, and we put in fix or fix flip, and then it brings in everything in that zip code that's needed. It's got that in the title of work, which really helped because it narrowed out everything else. We were just looking at the ones that was already selling at a discount.
Yeah, no, I think that is super helpful. And if it's showing you the homes that have like tax liens, and it's showing you the home, right? Those are all keywords that you could be looking at that the MLS just definitely doesn't have. You can't be like tax lien. It's not going to tell you that. That's not something you just
Mitch mentioned, that one instructor that was using the iOS, she showed how to use the keyword search in the iOS.
Oh, perfect.
In that training.
We should all commit to go watch that. Whitney Stark, new class, real estate essentials,
real estate foundations,
excuse me,
in essentials,
in essentials, and then come back and talk about it, because how cool to be able to have the resources like that. Again, if you need the QR code, there that is. And then last thing that I was going to wrap up with, Mitch, and then you can obviously take it from here, babe, is if you're doing inspection, something that people forget. So this is just broad, view of what I was talking about before. So the size of property, the year built, the style, the neighborhood. Okay, that's good. Comping, here's some tools. Flip Comp, Real Flow, Google Earth Maps, the MLS. Okay, now you can use, obviously, coincide with Zillow and Redfin if you'd like to add to this. But again, they're not going to give you an ARV because they don't have access to the sold comps, at least that I haven't seen. And then the next thing you have to do, right, is the inspection. So once it's under contract, you've got to do the inspection. And the big things are foundation, driveway, roof, siding on the, that's really expensive. Windows, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, functional, asbestos. You won't know, huh?
The functional obsolescence, like things that don't work anymore.
Yeah, you won't sometimes know those, but that's why an inspection, like these are the things that you need your inspector to do, and you need to make sure that they're doing them and you're getting an accurate reading from them. If it's snowing outside, I don't care, I need a roof. And we will wait and we'll extend our freaking due diligence until I can get a roof inspection. We've lost money on that, and it's because they're like, oh, it's fine, I looked at it. They'll wipe away a little spot, be like, yeah, it looks good to me, it's got one layer. Come to find out, snow melts, bam, we have a huge, roof problem. Not okay. Like those are things that could have been mitigated, but I didn't, take the time to look into. Electrical, you can kind of guess most houses, if it's been 1950 and above, you just need a all new electrical, but still look, new rope, plumbing, right? And then the feel of the property, like, can you rearrange it? Unfortunately, people go into homes and be like, oh, it's fine. I can add a bedroom here. I can add, what's the flow? Because if you have a kitchen, right, when you walk into a property, right, you open the front door and bam, you walk into a kitchen, you're going to have a hard time selling that house. Nobody wants to walk into dishes, right? That's a problem. And if you can't move that kitchen cost effectively to a different room, then it's probably not the right flow. It's not the right feel for your home. Just recognizing that that's kind of an art too, and we'll do, another training. I want to do another training on that because that is where I come in, right? That's where I do, and where people, where I can help you with the most is just the feel and the flow of the home, and that's it. Okay, thanks for having me, and we learned hopefully some things together tonight, and by next time we'll learn even more things.
Okay, so a couple of just wrapping up announcements. So we're entering the holiday season. So next week we have regionals. So there will be no call. We should all be at regionals instead, right? So there won't be a call next week. We will do the following week, but then the week after that is the day before Thanksgiving. So the week of regionals and the week of Thanksgiving, there's no Wednesday call and there's no Thursday in-person mastermind. So keep that in mind. Then we have a special December calendar as well that we'll go over at the beginning of December. But for the next 3 weeks, we only have one call, and that's 2 weeks from today. We'd love to have you. Normally, we're here every single week, but entering the holiday season, it gets a little crazy. So we'll keep you posted on our schedule. Guys, thank you, Maeli, for taking the time to learn all of this today so that you can share it with us. And then taking the time to teach us on it. There's obviously a lot more that we have to dig into, and we'll do this in iterations. However, we will be back in 2 weeks. We'll see you guys all at regionals next week. And in the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, stay hungry to get out and do some real estate. We love you all, and we'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.